Today's guest started playing TF2 way back in 2009 when he could still buy the game off the shelves. It was pretty much his gateway to shooters along with Portal. Before that he had only played strategy games, mostly the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise and Civilization 3 and 4. After popping in the disc and installing, he was another new player on Valve servers. As time went on, he began to play on Skyle servers as well as Valve servers. But he was still pretty bad. He would die again, and again, and again. No matter what class he chose, he'd run around as a pyro, W plus and warning, hoping to get a spy. He'd build sentries in plain sight, just waiting to be destroyed. He'd never even heard of rocket jumping. And, unfortunately, he'd be the fourth spy in the team a lot. As time went on, he started enjoying playing as NG, and as medic for a bunch, while turning away from spy and sniper. Eventually, somewhere just after the second Scream Fortress, he stopped playing, and eventually lost the credentials to his old account. Almost exactly 3 years later, he opened a new Steam account and began playing Team Fortress 2 again, as well as getting some other games to play. By this time, Man vs Machine mode had already lost much of its hype, and only 2 cities ever really even passed by him. So, ignoring MVM entirely, he began to play bits of TF2 again, a few hours on the weekend, almost every week. Once again, he soon entered another slump and did not play for a few months. However, when he got back to Team Fortress 2, many things had changed. Love and war had passed by him, but he played on, resuming his love for Engineer and learning the value of teleports and dispensers for his team. However, just before end of the line, he began to play a lot of Borderlands 2, so he missed the major chunk of that update as well, only coming back after the servers had stopped yelling bonus ducks. Since then, he's been playing Team Fortress 2 on quite a regular basis and still plays Engineer, but he has also started to play quite a bit of Scout and Sniper. He then picked up a server for a group of friends and couldn't keep it full, so when he found TPF, he jumped ship and moved the server to Europe with the help of his server host. He now hangs around TPF a bunch and can also be found on random pubs. He still remembers the problems he had when starting out, so he does his very best to help newer players orientate themselves in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is Mint. Hello fellow ladies and gentlemen of TPF, and welcome to today's episode of Stories of TPF. Today's guest is Mint. Thank you for joining me for this interview today.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, let's get started on the first few questions. The first thing that I'd like to ask is, how did you become one of the admins of TF2's TPF?
Alright, that's pretty simple actually what I did. Well, in the first few days of the new TPF group, there was a lot of problems with a lot of people were coming up and in the forums and kind of going around saying, oh, we want a Euro server, or like, are there any other servers that we have? And so at first it was just questions about, do we have any more servers besides Tux's? And I was kind of bumping around in the forums saying, oh, hey, look, I have a server that's not really being used that I just had kind of rented for a few, like, just purposes of my own. And it ended up being that I kind of kept pestering Tux enough until he was like, oh, hey, look, you have a server too. Would you mind switching it to Euro, and you can kind of get admin rights on US servers since you live in the US. And I went along with that, and I also started helping around the group, so Tux kind of like bumped me up as well in the admin group, and now I just go around helping people in the group.
Alright. Have you been in other games TPF groups?
What do you mean exactly by other games TPF groups? Like the old TPF group for Classic?
For example.
No, I have not.
So you're basically also brand new to TPF. Alright, that's good.
Well, I'm not new to the ideas that TPF presents, because that's pretty much the way that I play the game. But having a group that plays it, like everybody plays it the one way, is a bit new to me. Yes.
Yeah, you have to already have had the mindset in order to come into the group in the first place, kind of to be interested in it. All right, next question would be, are there any groups besides TPF you're proud of being part in?
I'm just gonna go glance at the groups. I'm proud of being in the. No, not really. No, I'm not in that many Steam groups, actually. So there's that. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, no, I just kind of glanced at my Steam groups. Nothing there.
Well, Tux also cheated when he looked up his hours count on Team Fortress.
Oh, well, I have that right in front of me. It's 148, if you were going to ask.
All right. If you had to put your thoughts about TPF's community into words, how do you put it? That'd be my next question.
Do you want an honest answer, or do you want the answer you are looking for?
Well, Sin, let's have both of it. The how it should be thoughts about it, and the how it actually is at the moment thoughts about it.
All right. So how it should be is, if you look at the surface of our group, kind of what it looks like right now, what my thoughts on that would be cool, we're doing a great job. There's so many cool people doing all these wonderful projects and cool stuff going on, and it's very lovely. And that's what I'm kind of trying to perpetuate when I'm going on the Steam groups and I'm chatting with people. I'm like, hey, cool, I like that you're doing this. Let me help you with that sort of thing. And that's the good side of it. And if you've seen my visibility little thing I wrote, the visibility blog that I wrote on the Steam group, you'll know that, yeah, that's one of my views. But the other view is sort of, y'all need to shape up. I mean, we have consistently hacking. We have people trading on our servers when we explicitly ask them not to, and that's one of the ones that hurts the most to like see banned, is people who we ask not to do something and they explicitly refuse, and then they go on our forums and they're like, "Oh, you banned me for this. Why did you do that?" And we have a lot of people who just dealing with them is its own world, really. It's just the amount of people you see, just it's shocking. And then also recently, anybody who's anybody in TPF should know about this, is we had to deal with DDoS on the Mumble and US East servers, and
well, the
that was not fun.
DDoS as well once.
Oh yeah, I believe Euro got DDoSed as well at some point in time too. So we don't know specifically if that was our servers alone or if it was the data centers where our servers were, but either way, it's not fun to deal with DDoS.
Yeah, I agree on that. It's also not fun to be DDoSed while you actually want to play the game. So what do you hope for TPF in the future, speaking about what problems we have at the moment? So what do you hope for TPF in the future? What evolutions, what hopes, is that likely to happen? That kind of stuff.
So, first of all, donations. I'm not sure what Tux has said about donations, but kind of my stance of donations is when I find something that's not broken. For example, if you played when we had Sentry hats on, you'd know that the thing that it broke was you could see the Sentry grid. If you were not the NG, you would be able to see the grid as well, and that was a severe problem. So we had, and it didn't happen consistently, so we didn't really know what was causing it, and we had to go with disabling that plugin because we weren't really sure what's going on with that. And then but ideally, I'd love to get stuff like the Sentry Hat plugin working for donators. I'm looking at a couple just recognition plugins. There's one that lets you be a robot, and then as well for donations, it is reserved slots. I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna do that specifically, and then for one-time donations as well, just kind of what's there. Additionally, as a lot of this stuff that I'm repeating is stuff I posted in the Visibility blog, but we're looking to get Asia or maybe Australia servers, but that's on our server host when that's going to happen. Currently, they have no open slots for that. As well, we were thinking, somebody mentioned like maybe physical merchandise, like maybe a T-shirt or something, but
I'd buy.
The problem with that is, yeah, like I would buy a T-shirt, honestly.
Yeah, but
it would be pretty cool. Like the T-shirt I'm envisioning would be pretty cool. It would be like TPF with little lines on the side, and just have a line over it and line under it. Just kind of have it highlighted on maybe like a gray. I mean, I would buy it. It sounds like it would be cool. In my mind, I just imagine just like 50 million people buying our T-shirt and Tux and I becoming rich and never having to work and that sort of stuff. But yeah, so physical merchandise as well. But the problem with physical merchandise is we haven't been able to find anybody who's actually willing to do the work and then let us sell it and like gain the majority cut of that profit, which would be going to the majority, like would be going to TPF, and like maybe 30 or 40 would be going to them. So if there are any artists who would be listening to this video, hit me up. I have a link somewhere to an email in the forums and general discussion. It's pretty sure it's pinned. If you can use Photoshop, if you can use GIMP, whatever, hit me up. You get money, I get money, TPF gets money, more servers, more profit for everybody. Cheap advertising on Fenrir's video.
Yeah, kinda. But it's alright. About what you were talking about before, the Sentry Hat plugin. I think many people don't know it yet, but you kind of get like really addicted to it. Like some people get addicted to drugs, and for you it was Sentry Hats.
Well, that wasn't entirely true. I main energy, so when I found that plugin, I was like, I gotta try this. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, sentries with hats, and I was really hyped. And for me, for a while, it made any other server unplayable because they didn't have sentry hats. But then I would love to have the sentry hats back, but if it's interfering with gameplay, as we found out where it was showing the building grade, then there's really nothing that there's no reason that I can legitimately use that plugin because it interferes with the game.
Yeah, understandable. Another thing that you've mentioned before about reserved slots. Don't you think that if we had too many reserved slots, either the people would just fight over those reserved slots, the people that donate, or we're going to have so many reserved slots that it's going to be unbearable to play on the servers for anyone without a reserved slot, giving Team Play First a bad reputation in the process?
So my kind of theory of I'm pretty sure I put this as well on the usability blog, so I'm really just kind of repeating myself a lot here, but my initial plan is for reserved slots would be to kind of first see how much interest there is in reserved slots for the server, and then charge somewhere $6 to $10, somewhere in that range and per month for that slot, and it would be on a first come first served basis. And would there be enough interest, the slots there would be a maximum of 6 reserved slots, and the interest would have to be at least 3 people for a server to have reserved slots enabled, and then how it would go is there would be 6 reserved slots, no matter how many people are actually paying for it at the time, and then an additional 2 for admins, and that would create a 32-player server with 24 for regular players, so it would not interfere with already established like what we have.
All right. Next up, is there anyone you'd like to call out to? Certain people from the group, friends, admins? Any thanks to anyone in specific?
Honestly, I'm just gonna kind of tab over for a second to Steam. But I usually when I do call outs, I'm very visible about it. I'm like actively I'm changing player over the week, at least once a week. Just kind of so somebody gets some recognition there. Let's see, go to the call outs. Obviously to you for your wonderful project. Also to Wolfsbane for his TPF talks. To all the people who are just recording community games, putting them online, and then also remember to put like a link to our servers, so people find out about us, or a link to the website or Steam groups great as well. Kind of remind for YouTubers making a video about TPF, put a link about us. That's cool. We love you. Yeah, there was the coaching project led by Heavy Metal Bearer. That looks fun too. So yeah, anybody who's just doing any sort of like, here's my thing in our community, is big thanks to them for just going above and beyond.
All right. Before we wait, what do we tell people if they say Wave 666 of MVM is impossible to do?
All right. So I was thinking we record Wave 666 and maybe some other games. For example, I love playing Borderlands 2. I've posted about several times on our forums in various discussions, inviting people to like come play with me or anything, but nobody really seems to want to play. So, oh well. But I was thinking maybe record some Borderlands 2, maybe pre-sequel, even though that's not like such a good game. Maybe record CS:GO, Shutter. Just quiet Shutter at 0. I cannot play that game. But just record TPF people playing, like higher up TPF people like me, Tux, server admins, just like Wolfsbane, Heavy Metal, Mr. Spirit, Mr. Paladin, just anybody really, just kind of high up. Just record like all of us jump in the game. Not necessarily Team Fortress 2, maybe MVM, maybe not MVM, maybe just regular Team Fortress 2. But the idea being that we jump into a game, we record it, we just kind of shove it on YouTube and like show people who we are, talk about us, that kind of fun stuff.
All right. One last question would be, do you in general let people on your friends list if they just add you?
If they just add me, I will I'll delete the invite. But if they post somewhere, if they say something somewhere, if they're like, hey, I want it. If you look at my profile, there's a lot of people who did this recently. Like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, or can I add you to my friends list? Sort of, I'll add them, I'll chat with them, and if I feel that like I want to keep them on the friends list, they'll be there. Or another great way to get on my friends list is to, like, true story, several people have done this, coffee guys. The best way to get on my friends list would be to hop in a game with me on Mumble, be it Team Fortress 2, not Team Fortress 2, and just go from there, go wild, basically. And should it happen that like I like you, and I will probably add you myself, just kind of like, because I know who you are, I've met you, so it's a lot more likely that I'll add you. But I don't add everybody. I mean, like, yeah, a lot of people I've met in Mumble, I just haven't added just because there's no reason to.
Right. Yeah, that's understandable, especially since we all do suffer from a thing that's called friend list limit.
Oh yeah, that's true. I have one of the higher theme levels. Basically, that's not less than 10. The majority of people in Steam have level under 10, so...
Yeah, I got level 10.
Yeah, I have like level 24 or something like that, 22, I think. And so I have a slightly more expanded friends list. Actually, I'm going to jump backwards in time for a second. Have fun editing this, or you don't have to edit this. But also, on the subject of donations, I just remembered I was looking at making a donation bot so people could donate items or like whatever, just trade to the bot and just like donate to us, maybe for some recognition somewhere, just kind of because that would be an option for donations as well. And then I'm just going to jump forward back in time to what we just talked about, that Mumble is really the best way to get on my friends list. I don't think that any TPF on my person on my friends list hasn't spoken to me at least once on Mumble. I'm just gonna go and double check that.
All right. By the way, I'm not gonna edit that one.
Fine. Yeah, that's on you. All right. No. Okay. So yeah, one TPF person on my friends list hasn't spoken to me on Mumble, and that would be Mr. Paladin. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and okay, 2 people. The other person hasn't like shown that they're a bad person, so I keep them there.
Is it Deadhill?
3 people. Make that 3 people.
Well, Deadhill.
Okay, yeah.
It kind of doesn't have a mic, so.
Yeah, that's true. But like Deadhill, I've played a couple games with him, so I've either like played. Yeah, Deadhill's chill.
All right.
Because I'm actually from Russia. True story. I left right before Putin came into power. I'm a prophet. I'm a prophet. I can always predict the future. That's why I left before Putin came. Totally. Obviously. And I just probably have prophetic power somewhere because I always manage to predict something once in a while. But anyway, yeah. So Deadhill is also Russian as well. So
yeah, no,
that's kind of a chill thing. He corrects my written Russian because it's absolutely horrible. When I do write in Russian, it's absolutely horrible. So I have somebody to double check that for me now.
Perfect.
Yep.
Right, I think we should call out to Deadhill here because.
Oh yeah, call out to Deadhill for currently being an SFM, despite it being like the middle of the night.
And call out for him working on that group picture for TPF and for working on the SFM-Diashows for my videos. Deadhill,
ripped it.
Speaking
of the
awesome.
Speaking of the group picture, actually, rip your laptop. Honestly, honestly, just rip your laptop. I'm very sorry for it.
All right, I think once you get donation money, you should at least have the decency to get Deadhill a new laptop after this.
If we get that much money, yes, please. Or at least pay for repairs.
Yeah. All right. So, everyone, this about sums up today's interview. Thanks again, Min, for taking your precious time.
Oh, my wonderful precious time. Just take it and leave.
All right, everyone. If you want your own story to be told in a later episode, feel free to send it to fenrirspyfang@gmail.com. Also, feel free to add your Steam profile link so that I can contact you with Maurice. Like if you did, subscribe to get to know the community more, and share among other TPF members so that we have the chance to become even more of a community. Have an awesome day, everyone.
Also, sorry for interrupting you. Share this group with everybody you know so we get to 5K members so we can move to the website so Tux stops being sad about us using Steam. Shout out to Tux for dealing with Steam.
Shout out to Tux. Exactly. All right. Have an awesome day, everyone. And see you soon.